This first episode is dedicated to the memory of Dr. Ruth, who passed away last week. Dr. Ruth, thank you for your tireless work and efforts. Thank you for educating me at 14 years old about what the clitoris was. Welcome to Sip with Summers, the podcast where we explore sex, intimacy, and pleasure. I'm your host, Jennifer Summers, a pleasure and intimacy queen, and a soon-to-be certified sex coach and clinical sexologist. Welcome to Sip with Summers, the podcast where we uncork conversations about all things related to sex, intimacy, and pleasure. I'm your host, Jennifer Summers, a soon-to-be certified sex coach and clinical sexologist, and I'm here to guide you through an exploration of the diverse and fascinating world of human sexuality. For this very first episode, I want to take you on a personal journey. Today, I'm going to share my story, how I became a pleasure and intimacy queen, certified sex coach, and clinical sexologist. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive in. My journey into the world of sexology began almost 2 decades ago. Growing up, I was always curious about human relationships and sexuality, but like many of us, I faced a lot of societal taboos and misinformation. My parents were not comfortable with the topic, so we never had the sex talk. I even tease my mom about it to this day, but she still will not give me the sex talk. The life skills classes in high school grazed over the female and male reproductive systems. There was no talk about pleasure or any pleasure spots on the body. It was solely reproduction. Now, we did learn the names of different STDs. We learned how babies were made. And we learned that we shouldn't do those things until we're married. And speaking of marriage, our big year-end project for the class was to plan our own wedding, including calling around to get pricing from venues and florists, and my parents taking me to Giant to pick out a bridal magazine and find my wedding dress. And even then, I knew the whole thing was completely absurd. I was curious. I wanted to learn about my changing body, not planning a wedding. Thankfully, I had a good friend in class who agreed, and somehow she managed to come up with the money and buy a book called Sex for Dummies by Dr. Ruth. She lent me the book, and that was the spark that ignited all of this. It's been so long that I can't recall verbatim, but I do remember it was the first time I ever heard the word clitoris. And I developed an understanding that a clitoris is what creates an orgasm experience. I learned some dating techniques, which was super important to 14-year-old me. And it also covered cyber sex, which this was 1997 when we had the AIM chat rooms, the ASL. So as a young teen, I really appreciated knowing what to look out for. My first real step into this field was through peer romance parties. So it's 2006. I'm going to this burlesque dance class with one of my good girlfriends, and the instructor was a peer romance consultant. I did not even know people did things like this, y'all. And if you're not familiar, Pure Romance is a company that sells bedroom accessories, intimate items, self-care products, and they do parties. So you have your Pure Romance lady come and you invite your friends over. She brings the stuff. She talks about the stuff. You get to taste and touch and smell and like see the buzzies. And I'm like, sign me up. I want to have a party. At the time, I just got my first place. I was working at an endocrinology practice, and I also had a part-time job at the Kennedy Center. And I loved that job, but unfortunately, my department got outsourced, and the new coworkers were not people I wanted to be around. So I had to get out of that environment, but also replace that income. And this seemed like a really fun way to do it. I'd always been interested about sex. I love talking about sex, and now I can make money and teach women and sell sex toys. Sign me up. I remember my first event vividly. It was a friend of a friend, so I kinda knew her, but I didn't really know her, and I was so nervous, but I was really excited too. And I get to her house, and there was this just amazing group of women. They were so eager to learn and explore, and that experience was eye-opening. It made me recognize that it was not just selling a product, it was really about creating a safe space for women to talk openly about their desires, their fears, and their curiosities. One of my favorite memories was a party I did for a group of moms in their mid 30s. I met a woman who had 3 kids. She had never experienced an orgasm with a partner. Understandably, she was very frustrated. She even said that she felt like she was broken. I was able to help reframe her experience, give her some foreplay technique suggestions, and I sent her home with a few products, including a clitoris arousal cream, which creates more oxygen and blood flow to the area and makes you more sensitive, which is going to help her to experience more pleasure. That night is when I realized the profound impact that open and honest conversations about sex can have. Women were hungry for the knowledge and desperate for validation that their feelings and experiences were normal. This was a turning point for me. Over the years, I dove deeper into the world of sex education. I attended workshops, I read everything I could find, and I started to speak more publicly about sexual health and wellness. One of the biggest challenges that I was faced with was overcoming my own low self esteem and my poor body image. I've always known myself to be a blend of quirky and empathetic and sassy and always unsure if I'm saying the right thing. And I was so concerned about what other people thought of me. I was a theater kid who had aspirations to be on Broadway, but also had terrible stage fright and always got cast in the fat role. I felt socially awkward. I had very few friends. But when I was doing my parties, that quirky, empathetic, and sassy woman was able to bloom. I learned what to say by practicing, and I became a one woman show of sex ed meets stand up. And sure, it wasn't Broadway, but I got to make my own schedule and I got to make people laugh and help them in a really intimate area of their lives. The best part was all the positive things people had to say, how they learned things about their body that they never knew, or running into women at future parties who gushed about all the sex that they were having with their partners now. So many women who had their first orgasms or squirted for the first time because of products and information that I shared with them. It was such a beautiful blessing to be able to celebrate pleasure with these women. And I feel so much honor that they're comfortable sharing that with me. In 2021, I hired a clarity coach after recognizing that I was really struggling in many areas in my life. A friend of mine referred her with glowing reviews, and she even allowed me to peek in on a group coaching session that she was holding. I was sold. I've had business coaches before, but a life coach that was going to help me get clear on areas of my life that I was being blocked in, that was exactly what I needed. And let me tell you, it was the best thing I have ever done in my life. Having a coach holding up that mirror and to be so truly dedicated to helping me heal, it changed my whole life. I learned mindfulness techniques and I began meditating and journaling regularly. It felt as if 1,000-pound weight had been lifted off my chest. And somehow she even managed to clear my throat chakra through a Zoom meeting. That experience sparked my interest in coaching. I've always felt like the healer type, except I cannot do blood. So I really look at this as a way of me helping to heal others. I decided to formalize my passions by pursuing a certification in sex coaching and clinical sexology. It is incredibly rewarding. I'm learning so much about human sexuality, psychology, and the techniques to help individuals and couples enhance their intimate lives. I'm reading exceptional books and expanding my knowledge rapidly. I've made new friends, and I'm learning so much about myself. I feel myself speaking differently and moving through the world differently and being more curious. The program is fantastic, and I truly see it opening so many doors for me. Ever since reading Sex for Dummies when I was 14, I always had aspirations of being Dr. Ruth when I grow up. And here we are, y'all. Now, as a proud plus size woman who loves my body and embraces my sexuality, I find immense joy in helping others feel confident in their skin too. Spirituality has also played a significant role in my journey, and it's brought me inner peace and happiness that I really love being able to share with my clients. Today, I'm here to help women and couples reclaim their pleasure and satisfaction. My mission is to empower you to love yourself fully and experience the best sex of your life. Through this podcast, I'll be sharing insights, stories, and expert advice to help you on your journey to sexual empowerment. Thank you so much for joining me on this very first episode of Sip with Summers. I'm excited to continue this journey with you, exploring sex, intimacy, and pleasure together. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like to see me cover in future episodes, please feel free to reach out. You can find me at selfmadediva.com for all my social links, online website, and even an Ask Me Anything anonymously option. And if you prefer email, you can reach me at yourpassionbestie@gmail.com. Until next time, take care of yourself and sip on life's pleasures.